to welcome everybody to the second season of Cougars Football Weekly. I'm your host, Jeremy Salou of the Valley Independent. We're joined the first week, like last year, by Athletic Director Bill Wiltz. Mr. Wiltz, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Coach, what are some of the things that are important for a team to go away for camp? This year, the Cougars went to Slippery Rock. You get that team bonding. From your view as an athletic administrator, how important is that for a young team?
It's extremely important. To go away, it's a bonding session is basically what it is. I mean, they can't call home, they can't, get upset and try to walk home and not come back to practice. You have them for an entire week, and they got to get through that week because there's no way out. Plus, they get to hang with the kids in the sleeping arrangements. They get to enjoy the college atmosphere that's afforded to them by Slippery Rock's dorm. It's just a great way to begin the season.
Looking back on last year, the Cougars struggled a little bit, but they're a very young team. As an administrator, you do the hiring and the firing of coaches. How important is it to stay the course with this young program looking ahead to this season?
The most important thing that can happen is that we run a first top class program. I mean, and I think that's what Ed's doing. He's doing everything the right way. He has the kids going to study tables. He has his profanity is zero. He just runs a nice, good, clean program, and I couldn't be more happy with the direction the program's going. I mean, W's and L's are nice, and the community wants them, and so does everybody. But it's also important to have a class individual running the program for you, and that's what we got, and that's the important part administratively.
You talked about like the study tables and the bonding the team has gone through. What are some of the differences you've seen from last year's team compared to this year's team with a full year of the program in place?
Yeah, they know what to expect. The expectations. Last year, they weren't real sure what was going on and how to react to certain situations. This year, they know what they're supposed to do. They know where they're supposed to be. They know their assignments better on the field. And, it's just a yes sir, no sir program. And I can't say enough. When he speaks, they listen. And all the younger kids are falling in line. And I think that's the important part too. We had some seniors last year that wasn't real comfortable with the transition. They went from one coach to another. And this year, the program's in place, the kids know, and we're getting, I think, a lot better senior leadership.
Speaking of your senior leadership, there are some special players you have in your senior class. One in particular is Brandon Bowman, fullback and linebacker. He's getting a lot of good looks from some pretty decently sized schools. What are some of the things you do as an athletic administrator to work into that recruiting process to look out what's best for Brandon?
Yeah, my role's a little more involved than most athletic directors because our head coach is not in the school. So when the recruiter comes to the school, they have to come to see me. I'll get the kid out of class and bring him down to my office and answer the questions the coach has. And, a lot of it's a credibility. They want to know, they know him as a football player. They know him, what he can do by looking at the films. But the big question is, what kind of kid is he? And, I'm proud to say that Brandon is a first-class kid. And so I'm happy that I'm able to do that for him and take the lead in his recruiting process. Not the lead, but, a subsidiary role to help the kid get into a school of his choice. Okay.
We're going to look ahead to this season a little bit. The Cougars have another young team. It's kind of like the small school curse. You only get so many kids that can come out for the team. What are some of the things you're looking forward to seeing this season from Coach Jenkins and the program?
The big thing that they can do is play hard. I mean, there's no substitute for playing hard. I know that we're outclassed in numbers. When you go against teams like Mount Pleasant and York who have double your enrollment, it's tough. And again, running the first class program, and for the kids' sake, just play hard. Play as hard as you can. Don't give up, and give the best effort.
Last but not least, we have this beautiful facility here again this year. How important is it for the kids to see the community's presence and to have that support from the community?
It's huge. There's nothing worse than to play in front of an empty stands. When the community's behind you, and that's the most important thing. But hopefully we're going to get back to that. Charleroi is dying for a winner. They like the class program, but everybody likes to win. So we're hopefully going to be putting a winning team on the field, and I know when that happens, the community is going to step it up and get behind us. You know, in the interim, hang with us, guys. We're going to be okay. Give us some time, and we're going to be fighting for a section championship here in a couple of years.
Okay, that'll do it for this week's show. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Okay, Jeremy, thank you.
And I'm your host, Jeremy Slew, and we'll see you next week.